Good morning.
Panel number 2 of the day. Welcome to the Performance Lifestyle Shift, how wellness culture is changing what we drink. We are living through the fitness revolution. I'm a part of that. Everybody else here is a part of that as well. Supplement use is surging, alcohol consumption is declining, and we're watching the explosion of healthy, functional drinks, which is what brings us all here today. I'm honored to be joined by 3 experts from the field. We're going to do this in a little bit of reverse order. Let's just switch it up. Our first panelist here is a pioneer in the evolution of the modern holistic health industry. As CEO and founder of Yana Wellness Brands, Ariana oversees the premier destination for plant-based wellness and creative empowerment, the Yana Wellness and Creativity Center. With over 15 years of experience as a brand visionary and strategic entrepreneur, she has been a driving force in transforming the intersection of mental health and plant-based medicine into a global phenomenon. Please welcome Ariana Tokes.
That was a nice intro. Thank you so much.
For my next panelist, he is one of the most influential voices in the fitness media landscape. As a CEO and co-founder of Last Rep, he has launched a category-defining recovery beverage. Last Rep blends performance ingredients, Delta-9, Hemp THC, CBG, adaptogens, and electrolytes into a zero-sugar, zero-alcohol recovery cocktail made for the modern lifestyle. He spent years interviewing the elite and advising the innovators, helping bridge the gap between hardcore fitness and the mainstream wellness consumer. He knows what's coming next before it even hits the shelf. Please welcome Jason Ashton.
I liked her intro better.
And our final panelist is a key architect in the rapidly evolving functional beverage space. As the COO of Liberty in a Can, Josh oversees the operational powerhouse behind a brand that is redefining how we think about social drinking and recovery. With a deep background in scaling high-growth brands and navigating complex supply chains, which we all are burdened with, Josh has been instrumental in bringing sophisticated, better-for-you alternatives to the mainstream. He's an expert at translating consumer trends into shelf-ready drinks, ensuring the next generation of wellness beverages. So please welcome Josh Abrams.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate that.
Good. Well, we appreciate you guys all here today. How have you liked the expo so far? Any surprises? You know, what are things looking like out here?
I am absolutely loving the professionalism that the plant cannabis world is getting to. Like, this is where we should be at, and I do really like it. Yeah, it's a great conference. Steve is funny though, because I don't want to catfish anyone. I just got put on this panel like 5 minutes ago. We're gonna have a great time. It's gonna be fun. But yeah, I'm having a great time.
I was pleasantly surprised at how open and just friendly all the vendors are. Everybody's competing for shelf space, competing for dollars, eyeballs, lips, however you want to phrase it. But people are genuinely, complimentary of your marketing, your product, your taste, whatever that is. I've spent a lot of time in tech, and I can assure you that is not the case. So it's been really refreshing, and it's great to meet a lot of people here.
Yeah, to go off of that a little bit, the community here has been extremely engaging, whether it's the public or industry professionals. And similarly, everyone here is trying to grow the category, so it's very nice to see, the mutual support from brands, distributors, as well as interested investors.
Here, here. The category is growing, so it's kind of a fun time to be a part of the
Cannabis
space.
is everybody loves everybody, and that's what's so great about this ecosystem. It's like we get to work with people we actually like. And yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so let me ask you guys a little bit about your individual backgrounds. So Ariana, when you first took the lead at Yana Wellness Brands, the functional wellness world looked very different. How has the definition of a wellness beverage changed since you took the helm?
I like that. I think what's interesting is we want people to stay, and I think most people's experience with their first edible was like a 500 milligram brownie, right? And we want people to stay. So I do think like the microdosing era is here of just like everything in moderation. Yeah, I think, did that answer your question?
Fair, yeah. I think we've moved from edible to drinkable for sure, which I think sets up Jason nicely, right? So last rep to me looks like a category defining new beverage. Tell us how you developed it and what makes it so great.
I think the biggest thing, we're probably a little different journey for my partner and myself. We both exited tech companies within the last 2 years, and when we were putting together a portfolio of businesses we wanted to start, this came up mainly from my partner, who we were talking about the stress that comes when you exit a company and the long nights and half a bottle of wine or half a bottle of brown water that's next to the laptop, and you don't even realize it because it's just part of the norm. So he really, put drinking aside and moved to functional and THC beverages. And when we talked about that, we saw a broader need or more of a lane that we both live in with athletics. And we thought with our background and if we focused on people who either into the culture already, but more importantly into what goes into their body, if we could develop something that checks multiple boxes, then we would have a winner. And we think we're there.
Very cool. Josh, tell us about Liberty in a Can. What makes you guys separate and different, and how you guys stand out in this very, very crowded space?
Absolutely. So Liberty in a Can, we have two main product lines. One of them is a seltzer water available in 5 and 10 milligrams. What sets it apart from most seltzers in the space is that we don't have any sweeteners, sugars, sodium, or carbs. So it's a true seltzer. There's no sucralose, erythritol, anything like that. And we recently completed an iced tea lemonade line, which we launched in a 25 milligram to address the higher demand in the high potency market. A lot of consumers are purchasing at higher volumes for higher doses right now. We believe as the market develops, it'll quickly go back to microdosing, as you were saying, and it still is a really strong seller for us in our 5 milligrams. But as mass consumption gets adopted, those products will definitely become higher volume. And our iced tea, we formulated with non-GMO ingredients, no added sweetener, and only 9 grams of sugar, kind of to similarly lean into the wellness aspect. And these drinks were actually developed by my partner and I because we're both asthmatics and we're very big cannabis enthusiasts, but we realized just because smoking might have been the first way cannabis was introduced to humans, it's not necessarily the best or the healthiest. So it was a really cool way for us to bring that to fruition, a solution for ourselves and the greater public.
Very cool. So you guys are kind of more in the cannabis area. Would you consider yourself more in the mushroom area?
Good question. I would say, so 7 years ago is when I started to get into the cannabis industry. I was also IT and private equity and tech and stuff like that. And so 7 years ago, I started in the cannabis industry. I think more recently, started a dispensary about 2.5 years ago. So I'm in cannabis by like where I started. But plant medicine, it's not just cannabis. It's like a part of a lot of different alternatives to alcohol and pharmaceuticals. So mushrooms and nootropics, I think, is something new for me. It's about like 2 years ago. But when I was getting promo to sell at my shop for like Odyssey, sorry, I don't mean to shout out like Celsius or like just high dose caffeine products, I didn't like the high dose caffeine for me personally. So I, yes, got into mushrooms and doing alternatives for that. Like I wanted a drink for a Zoom call at 4 p.m., you know what I mean? Where I still want to be present and like want to talk to the person I'm talking to, but I still want to go to sleep at like. So yes, I got into the mushroom space and the nootropic space about 2 years ago.
Is there something you would say is like the key difference between mushroom drinks and cannabis drinks?
So we have a blend of, we have a drink for every vibe. That's what I like to say. We have a drink for the daytime if you don't want CBD, THC, you just want that brain health, cognitive functioning support. We have a drink for that. And then we also have our THC drinks, but they have lion's mane as well in them. So a little social boost. So you're not like fully just going to sleep, but you'll still sleep great and wake up feeling great. But yeah, I put mushrooms and blended with cannabis in our drinks. Yeah.
I would say something that everybody is challenged with is trying to make these drinks taste good. What are some of the things you guys do individually to try and kind of, make the drinks taste outstanding, given the difficulties?
From our side, we just chose clean ingredients to start. If you're clean, you're eliminating any, metals, anything that's going to alter taste, anything that's going to, rub against the can, and you don't know how the can's going to deteriorate and leak into it, et cetera. Be selective in what you are choosing. I know we were talking earlier, no additives, no preservatives, things like that. We don't have a sugar in our drink, but we do use allulose. Allulose is 70% as sweet as sugar, so you're not getting that full oomph. But at the same time, you have no glycemic index, so there's no insulin swings or something along those lines. Does that impact taste? Directly answering your question, no. But you still have to be conscious of it because there's texture that comes with it. So when you taste our drink, it doesn't hit you like a traditional seltzer. It's carbonated, but it's lightly carbonated, and that allulose gives it a little more of a, if you're going to use an alcohol comparison, maybe like a sparkling wine, something along those lines. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, and then there's the flavors, and you got to make sure you're choosing the right flavor house and things along those lines. And then the bugaboo in THC drinks is where you're sourcing, are you nano-emulsified and things along those lines. So they all play a part.
Yeah, and I would say, honestly, probably for every THC or functional beverage, especially I'm sure for mushrooms, one of the hardest things is actually making that active ingredient work properly in the flavor profile of the drink. THC is naturally very bitter, and I know mushrooms are as well. So that's definitely a frequent challenge. One way that we've really gone around that, similar to selecting quality ingredients, is also the simplicity of ingredients. A lot of times, less is more, and a lot of ingredients panels in THC and otherwise can be very, very extensive, which makes the drink very complex to either reformulate or dial in exactly. So we approached from a point of simplicity, where we had one flavor, and if we felt like we needed a second lime flavor for our seltzer that would complement the terpene profile we were using, we would add that, but we wouldn't start with a significant amount of flavors or ingredients, and that allowed us to build towards the flavor we were trying to match.
Well, I think if you're able to mask the THC, right, like people can have a great user experience, it tastes great. Another question for all
I'd
three.
love to also talk on that
Go
one
ahead,
because
go
I
ahead.
think
Sure.
that one's like
Especially because
super.
mushrooms are slightly different too. So.
Yeah. I love everything you guys are saying. I do really think it's important to highlight to know your farmer, your cultivator, get involved and go to your manufacturer, put on the cap and the gloves and get in there and see how the products are made. Also the core values of the people cultivating your products and with the energy they're putting in. Yeah, I think that's super important to really R&D in that way. To know the quality of the products that you're actually getting instead of just getting a COA or a lab test report. Yeah, because there's actually dispersibles taste different from where you go. So I think it's important to find someone who's growing the hemp, and then is it using pesticides? Are they doing indoor grow? And then how are they extracting? Is it CO2 or and then the terpenes as well is super. People are really seeing that it's not indica sativa hybrid, it's the terpenes. So making sure you're putting the right terpene flavor profiles for that day or night or performance need. Yeah. Sorry.
Very cool. No. It's good because everybody wants to stand out with a great flavor, but it's also really important to stand out with social media, right? These days, marketing and social media are also, they're almost synonymous. How do you guys stand out in an increasingly crowded space where everybody's competing for attention? And I guess let's start with.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the ways we've stood out specifically is we've gone after being an American lifestyle brand. So very active, and sometimes that is athletics oriented, that could be oriented in the music scene, but also in a recovery space as well. Not quite as directed as Last Rep, but in the sense that this is a way for people to unwind in a way that's not harmful, whereas someone, running a marathon or even DJing a set might recover using alcohol typically because it's really, people find it relaxes their body, etc. But then they're dealing with the next day effects that are obviously very negative. We've tried to be that fun brand. We've seen a lot of brands that try and be a little more sterile, a little more Instagrammable, playing it safe. And we really wanted to put ourselves out there and be like, we're a party, come join us, revolutionizing the world of conscious consumption. And that's kind of the niche we carved out. It just hadn't been really prominent in the cannabis space yet.
Social media is challenging in our world anyway. It'd be a lot easier if we all could just go buy our drink and go to our website instead of playing the ClickFunnels game, right? But what we focus on is that community, is that lifestyle. And if you look at our Instagram, you're not going to see a lot of our can. You're not going to see a lot of us, with anything about the can. It's about the customer base. It's about the athletes. It's about the everyday use of it. So we talk a lot about everyday athletes, and we were just talking over there. Everybody is an athlete to some degree. But if you look at our content, it's heavily based in, run clubs, fitness clubs, wellness facilities. You'll see us at cold plunges, saunas, infrared saunas. You'll see us at the CrossFit boxes, at high rocks races, things along those lines. And we want to capture that there's a whole different vibe going on too, where we did a workout rave at a CrossFit gym. So it's like, wait a minute, rave, CrossFit, Pilates, I'm confused.
It's the new wellness
It's the new
wave.
wellness thing, and that's the thing. Everybody there is into the beverages, into the drinks, right? And quick aside, I was at a jiu-jitsu gym last Tuesday, and these guys are taking 10 milligrams and going to roll for 90 minutes. Coming up to me an hour in, like, dude, I feel so good. I'm locked in. Like, you're a maniac. And then they're grabbing one for the road. You know what I mean? So it's with the way you're marketing, it really, you need to find your lane first and foremost, and you don't want to exclude anybody either. And I think, again, just you go back to the top of this conversation, everybody here is inclusive. This is not, you only have permission to drink our drink if you like these, 2 or 3 things are fit into this very specific box, right? You kind of got to identify who you are, but we're showing people that everybody is an athlete to some degree. If you're playing pickleball, guess what? You're an athlete, right? So grab a last rep when you're done.
Love it. Yeah, I really love this topic because of a lot of things you all said. I think it's interesting because it is hard for cannabis brands to be on social media because it's illegal to advertise cannabis and you get shut down. I think also being a legacy operator, that whole culture from the past is very competitive. And it's unfortunate that, you see people reporting your content and it's just like, make better products and you won't need to shit on mine or whatever. But that being said, I do think it's super important to know that consumers nowadays are buying with social impact. They want a story behind the brand. They don't want to buy from people they don't like. If people are researching now, who owns this brand and who are they? So it's really important to have a story and to have a purpose. And Yana, it stands for You Are Not Alone. So I think focusing on the mental health, I love the physical health, it's super important, but I think the mental health, people haven't been valuing that as much, and actually your mental causes the endorphins and the cortisol levels in your body to, just affect you physically. So it's very important to have that mental health aspect. And then at our wellness center, our dispensary is also a holistic creativity and wellness center, and we have sound baths, we have a Reiki therapist, we have different wellness advisors, we have a clinical psychologist that can help you pick your certain terpene profiles, and then give you an actual medical program. I think when I got my medical cannabis license dispensary license, I was like, yay, what are the medical protocols? Oh, there aren't any? I can just sell weed, but I have to pay the government? So I decided to come up with a medical program and look into universities doing cannabis science programs. And then I found some. University of Maryland, my undergrad, they had a cannabis science program, and all of these people getting degrees in cannabis science under the pharmacology or school or the pharmacy school, there was no applied job for them. There was no pharmacy for cannabis. So we started hiring advisors to do 15-minute free virtual consultations to help people understand their SSRIs or their different pharmaceutical drugs so that they could take plant medicine as well, or maybe not first, but integrate it into your medicine practice. So that's what we do at Yana, and I think that story and building these little lifestyle brands, that's what I want to see in the future is like the cannabis ecosystem and the families. Reality TV show, for example, like the Kardashians. That's what our kids are watching today. And like, I do love, don't get me wrong, it's my guilty pleasure, but I did want to see more of like family lifestyle brands really doing something with purpose. So at Yana, we have a team of 12 girls, and it's a family brand, and it's our come up, and it's us building this from nothing, like truly just throwing events 10 years ago, just connecting the community, to then like now having a dispensary where we're all like just looking at each other like, wow, we really did this. It's a beautiful thing, and I think documenting the story behind a family brand is super important, and I would love to highlight more people in the ecosystem doing something with purpose. So yeah, I love the social media conversation. And it's also funny because like universities, and I would love to talk to you about this later, universities now allow CBD sponsorships, which is really great. USC is one of the first doing like a cannabis CBD sponsorship. And I think it's important to start like working with media and people in influential positions to promote this brand, to promote this lifestyle. But it's hard to find people that want to do that because they don't want to get shut down on social media. They don't want to be like stigmatized and like lose a market, you know? So finding those people that really believe in your purpose too is how we're gonna reach the masses.
Well, you're kind of changing the game too, because you have to, the influencer marketplace, and obviously, you know, we all get hit up by marketing agencies on a regular basis, right? And, you know, can you please tell me about UGC one more time, because I didn't get it the first 400
right.
times, right? So, you know, going back to your quick point on the mental health and the physical health, right? That's where the community comes in, right? Because if you're apprehensive or you have anxieties or something from a mental standpoint, getting into the community can really bolster that and reinforce it, right? So it is circular in that nature. But one of the things we do is we sponsor everyday athletes. And what I mean by that is, you know, we have a professional UFC fighter that we're sponsoring now. Right? It's a professional fighter. That's cool, right? But what if you just want to enter a 5K and you don't have the confidence to do it, or you don't have the money to do it? Right? You know, 60, 80 bucks, you know, might be a ton of money for somebody, right? $400 to enter a large marathon, right? We have programs now that are supporting those everyday athletes, right? Does it benefit us? Sure, because we're using them
give them a jersey
in
or
their
something?
social. No, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So we go as far as
This is a great idea,
sponsoring
by the way.
entry fees, gear, full gear. We have different levels. We have a High Rocks woman who just qualified for nationals in Sweden, right? I've got an 8-race and 8-event deal with her. We're picking up travel, we're picking up expenses, we're picking up the entry fees, and she's got the top of the line gear. She gets free product, et cetera. But there is a trade for that, right? What do we get in return? We get her posting on her journey. We get her posting during the race, the celebration afterwards. Maybe even it's the feed afterwards. We had a UFC fighter post 2 weeks ago after he lost the fight, like, just thanks guys, I'm gonna need this. You know what I mean? He didn't look great in the picture, right? But again, from when you're talking social media, right, that does resonate. And I'd rather have an army of, you know, 100 guys or girls that have 500 followers than somebody that's got 40,000 followers that I'm supposed to pay X to get nothing that has anything to do with my brand. I'm just paying that person because they think they're important. And I think that age is going away.
I love everything you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, you're already on the wave. I don't have to. But I think documenting stories like that, like, I would love to, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's not just my story. I want to get into other people's stories too and help support the growth of these, like, media lifestyle
Yeah.
brands. And I think it was really interesting with my team, my girls, they're not influencers, like, in any way, but they have passions, and
Right.
so instead of paying these people that don't really care about the brand, why not support the girls in my own businesses, visions and purpose and passions, and then we're all growing little businesses and supporting each other. So I think super important.
But if the Kardashians want to promote my product, we could talk.
Yeah, exactly. If they want to, if Kris Jenner wants to be Kris Jenner,
Yeah, I'm in.
I'm in.
I
Sounds
think
good.
Alani is here, actually. I'm going to ask one more question, and then we'll open it to the audience for questions. So within your guys' drink, is there like a sleeper ingredient that you think people don't know about that really kind of sets you apart, or is kind of your secret favorite part of the beverage? Yeah, we'll
I mean,
start.
so I wouldn't say it's a secret part of our beverage by any means, but in the THC space and functional space, even devoid of THC, terpenes, as you were mentioning, can have very, very targeted effects, and there are clinical studies that have been conducted here as well as in South America that have proven THC can have, not THC, terpenes can have very, very targeted effects. And by no means is it a secret. It's just something that has been a little bit less defined per se because the FDA doesn't necessarily recognize any sort of efficacy from terpenes. But I think it would be extremely beneficial for more functional beverages with or without THC to employ terpenes. We use terpenes in all of our products because it helps increase onset or decrease onset time, increase efficacy, and also it has a more positive outcome typically for consumers. Whereas if they're having just a load of THC without terpenes, I mean, it can feel like a very one-dimensional, almost berating high or experience. Terpenes make that a lot more approachable. The dosing becomes a lot more quicker onset. You know what effect you're getting every single time. And that's what I would say really not necessarily sets our product apart. There are other things, but terpenes, I think, are a really key ingredient for this space.
I think for us, I mean, I think our whole ingredient profile is fantastic. It's not completely unique, but it's
They're all my
Unbiased,
favorites.
unbiased
They're all my
opinion.
favorites.
It's amazing. I think we made a very specific choice with our cannabinoid, and I think most default to CBD just because of it's marketable. It's been around for a long time. Most people know it. I think there's a huge education gap still with the masses, and we all experience it in this category. Not to steal the name, but if you know, you know, right? I mean, when you're talking to somebody, it's easier to explain things when they have an idea. So when I get into CBG, which is in our drink for our cannabinoid, for those people that are on the outside of the industry, kind of looking in, there's a huge education process because you talk about cannabigerol being the mother of all cannabinoids and all the ancillary benefits that come with it. But the biggest for us being in that recovery space, both social recovery and physical recovery, the benefits of the anti-inflammatory responses and the anti-anxiety responses really pull it back in. So it's easy for someone to visualize because I get a lot of personally, there is that reaction of, I don't mess with THC. I had a bad experience, or I took a gummy and found myself in a corner for a day. I try to visualize with the CBG of like, hey, if you think you're going over here, it's going to bring it back here and maybe push it down a little bit more. So it resonates, like a little bit of a visual. So secret weapon, I don't know. Good choice, I think so.
Yeah.
Don't say lion's mane.
No, I actually was. I'm gonna surprise you here. Yeah, I think we can talk about the ingredients. We all know cannabis mushrooms, but what I and my business partner last night, we had a little creative ideation session. I think what is an under appreciated is the water. The water you put in your knowing
That's a
where
varsity
the
answer.
water.
We allow that answer. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
I
And
think about the same.
yeah. So the Shenandoah Valley, if you've ever been, it's in Virginia. If you haven't, come to our manufacturer. It's right next to Coors, the Blue Mountains. My friends sometimes say they don't get hungover because the water's from Shenandoah, and now they know. So yes, I think our water supply with all the minerals and everything like that, it's super important. It's also a limited resource nowadays, and so yeah, your water is really great.
Great, great
Really
answer.
important.
All right, so I want to open it up to questions. We've got at least one in the back. Very informative. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Nobody wants to grill us? Go for it.
How is the federal spending bill passed in 25 that's going to 26 November going to define the regulation of these hemp-derived products, and what does that mean for people like you guys?
So they've been pretty clear. I mean, the FDA was supposed to set out some definitions for this bill, which they are definitely late on. That being said, if it does get federally outlawed, it's more of a logistical shift than anything, where similar to the regulated cannabis industry, we're going to be looking to state regulators to have our operations vertically integrated in each state, and it becomes a multi-state operating business model as opposed to more centralized or dual production and then interstate logistics, which obviously has made this category more cost-friendly to a lot of people looking to get into the cannabis space or just the beverage space in general for adults.
From our perspective, the panel prior, someone summed it up. No one knows. Everybody has an idea, and there's a lot of information. There's a lot of people with connections, and you can theorize that it's going to play out the right way, but we're talking about politics. So from that standpoint, it's better off not to think about it day and night. Right now, it's legal, so we act accordingly. And until it's not, we'll continue to act accordingly. And I think what you see from these types of events and these types of conversations is common sense has a good opportunity here to win out. And more importantly, what we all want with our brands is we want cans in your hands and everybody's hands. And the more people adopt it from a consumer standpoint, the harder it's going to be to go away. And that's not even touching the bigger subject here, the farmers and the people who this is their livelihood. And you're talking about an industry with 300,000 employees. That's got nothing to do with us up on stage and this. It's where this stuff comes from. So it's challenging to say the least.
Yeah, I think that question deserves an entire 1-hour panel, because nobody's talking about it. We're all kind of breezing through, everything's fine, but yeah, November is coming. And it's important to have multiple plans. You have to be agile. I mean, this is an emerging economy. We've got to come up with 7 different ways out. But I think something that's super important to remember, and not to be so negative, there's peaks and valleys in this industry, but something that's important to remember is how much tax money this is bringing in for every state. So every state is starting to come up with their own bills to go back, and it's important to get involved in your state, figure out who your representatives are. That is huge. I think another important thing, if there's a lot of business owners in the hemp space here, to start looking into the dispensary models just as a one avenue, because dispensaries are now completely legal in majority of states. The country is pretty much green in terms of legalized dispensary models, and it is important to start getting into that world, as well as big retailers like Total Wine. Shout out to Total Wine for putting on hemp drinks to reach the masses. But I think players like that, they want to see us succeed so they can succeed too. So it's really just finding ways to get involved with the community. It's also hard because pharmaceuticals and alcohol, they don't want to see us win, and their lobbying money is a lot more than ours. But as long as we're coalitioning and like actually just talking to our supporters and the people in our ecosystem, I think we'll be good.
Thank you.
Great question. I'm not sure, are you fielding business partner questions on stage, or is that? Oh, I thought she was going to ask you a question, but
Oh, yeah.
are there any more? I can ask another question. So we're seeing a trend overall in the space of like celebrity endorsed drinks. Do you think that's jumped the shark, or it's just getting started in terms of like celebrity founders, celebrity endorsed, celebrity drinks in the space?
I think it's just getting started, but at the same time, I don't think celebrity endorsements are what they used to be. People desire, authenticity in brands, and, as you were saying, you'd rather 100 accounts with 500 followers with truly engaged people who trust who they're following, as opposed to celebrity endorsement. So I think we will see more just naturally as the industry develops. I mean, you already have Willie Nelson out there, Seth Rogen, and it's 100% out there in the space, but I don't think it does what it used to in our space, but in most consumer spaces as well.
I think it goes back to your social media commentary. I don't think a lot of people know there's celebrity endorsements. I know there's a lot of people that don't know Willie's Weed's been around for a long time, and they certainly don't know that they partnered with a moonshine company to make a tonic, right? I've been an investor in that for a decade. So it's a journey that people aren't aware of. That Virginia area, right? How many people in Florida know about Bubba Chuck and know Allen Iverson has his own brand, right? I'm a basketball fanatic, so I know that, right? So I don't think it's mainstream because, again, those same celebrities can't get on a camera and just go, follow us at lastreparc.com, right? They can't do that. So it's going to be interesting. And I think Seth Rogen does a great job, like with his social media stuff, when he's on a little rant in Seth Rogen fashion, right? I can't say this stupid, right? And he goes on this little tangent. Until it's a little more mainstream from a marketing standpoint, it's going to be difficult for the celebrity to push it over. And I think he hit it on the head. The days of just the celebrity holding a can, it doesn't do what it used to do.
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed. This is all great. I think maybe just to add on a little bit, one thing I'm excited for is seeing Snoop Dogg be the host of the Olympics, because I think, the Olympics, everybody was watching, and you see someone who is such an advocate for it. It normalizes it a lot when you see it on that scale. And a pipe dream of mine, and I'm sure a lot of people in this industry, which it's not a far off, it's not always a dream, it could be real, is the Super Bowl maybe in 4 years, I want to say, having cannabis commercials as well, and putting on people to do that. I hope it's in the future. It's like
You got to get into
media.
the arenas first.
Right, and it's in the arenas now. I think in Chicago. Yeah.
Chicago, yeah.
So yes, the future is green. It's plant-based. People want the option on their menu.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming up here. To some extent, you're all celebrities to me, so that makes a
I'm
difference.
excited to meet
Thanks
you guys
everybody for your
later.
Thank you.
attention.
I've been called that in a couple days.